The Midnight Dance by CartoonNerd12. Chapter 1. In the great kingdom of Canterlot, a wise queen by the name of Celestia ruled her kingdom with wisdom and compassion. As much as she could rule a kingdom, she had a hard time raising her 6 darling daughters, who were each special in their own way. Princess Fluttershy was her eldest and was a beauty. She was kind to others, but she was also shy in her demeanour, and spent most of her days in the gardens, playing with the animals and growing flowers. Princess Rarity was her second-born, and was also a great beauty, having a generous spirit to match. She was refined and proper, as well as outgoing, and would create fashions for herself and to impress the noble society at any important event. Princess Applejack was her next child, and she was hard-working in her duties, being honest to herself and the staff. She refused to let the maids do anything on their own, and insisted on helping them. Princess Rainbow Dash was her fourth, and she loved hanging out with the Wonderbolts and the Royal Guards, as she had a sense of excitement and wanted to do something about it. She was loyal to her mother and country. Princess Pinkie Pie was her second to last child, and she was always fun-loving. She threw the best parties in the kingdom, spreading joy and laughter to their subjects. And Princess Twilight Sparkle, her youngest and secretly her favourite daughter, was constantly by her mother's side, understanding the kingdom and the situations around her. She would spend her days in the library, studying more on magic and what it could be used to have for the kingdom. But even when the girls had their own thing, they did just about everything else together. It made Celestia feel proud that her daughters were true sisters. They would go to the spa for their own personal use, or go on a picnic in the countryside. As happy as she was for her sweet girls, she worried for them. All of them were now of a marriageable age, and would need suitors to pick from soon. But they couldn't be just any suitor. They had to be noble stallions that can care for them. With 5 lovely daughters, it wouldn't be so hard. She planned on keeping Twilight with her, since she figured she'd be the best choice to rule the kingdom after she was gone. She had thought how each daughter would make some prince or lord happy. Rarity would certainly be able to catch a few. A couple of regents would be honoured to have Rainbow and Applejack, and any noble court would be lucky to have Fluttershy and Pinkie. She called for Spike, their page dragon. "Spike!" Spike bobbed in and asked with a fearful look on his face, Yes, Your Majesty?" He gulped. "Calm yourself, Spike. You know I could never harm you." She smiled genuinely at him. "Since you were brought to our doorstep as an egg, I gave you to Twilight so she could help hatch you. Ever since you've been employed in our service and helped Twilight with her duties. You are a noble servant and friend." "Of course," he bowed. "Anything for Twilight and the royal family." "Now, I request of you to deliver this proclamation far and wide." She unrolled the scroll and read it off for him. "Dear nobles, regents, and royals all over Equestria, I offer you a great opportunity, as my 6 beautiful daughters, the princesses of Canterlot, are now ready to marry. I hope that you will take this offer and come and win their hooves in marriage." "Marriage?" Spike spoke out loud, and she gave him a raised eyebrow. I mean, great! Really great!" He lied through his small fangs. Secretly, he had a crush on Rarity while growing up in the castle, and hoping that he could express his feelings for her. But if she was about to be married off to some pony else, then there would go his chances. "Yes, it would be good to see my daughters married, to be well provided for and taken care of." She magically handed the scroll to him. "Oh, right." He took a hold of the scroll and rushed out, not watching where he was going, and bumped into some pony and fell over. "Ah, careful now," a British accent spoke. Spike didn't need to bother looking up to see who that was, and merely said, "Sorry, Fancy Pants, but I have to deliver this scroll out for the Queen." "Yes, righto. Duty calls." He offered his hoof, which Spike took, and helped him up. "Thanks." "Well, when one is of service to the Queen, everything must be run with precise timing." "Is that why you're head butler?" "Quite right." He put a hoof on his chest, feeling proud. "Though I am quite curious as to why the urgency." He sighed and stated, "The Queen wants the princesses to marry now." "What? I mean," He cleared his throat. That's, very good. For them. Tell me about it, Spike muttered. Well, see you tonight in the kitchens. He resumed running as he waved off. Yes, see you there. Fancy returned the small wave. He felt very low now than a few moments ago when he was in good spirits. He couldn't tell anyone, for it was a rather shameful secret, and I wish that could never happen. He was in love with the Princess Rarity with all his heart. Everything about her set his mood pouring with happiness. She and he have spent a great deal of time together, but he never once admitted that he loved her, and he was unsure if she felt the same way about him. After all, he was just their butler, and she was a princess. It could never be. He slowly returned to his duties. Spike ran out of the castle. Above him, Sorin of the Wonderbolts was on a cloud and spotted him. Yo, Spike! He yelled to get the dragon's attention. I was going to catch some zoos on my break. Want to join me when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing? Wish I can, Sorin, but I have to release this proclamation. The princesses are going to get married. Say what? Sorin yelled and stood on the cloud, nearly falling over. I mean, that's awesome. He put on a fake grin. I have to go. See you later. He ran on, while Sorin slumped down on the cloud, not feeling in the mood to sleep now. His thoughts went to Rainbow Dash. She was always the most awesome princess to hang around with whenever she came to visit them at the Derby. He couldn't tell Spitfire and Fleetfoot this, for they would think he was crazy. But he loved the princess. He didn't care if it was stupid or not to fall for her. She was, after all, amazing. Spike was almost to the middle of the city when he went past the joke shop and a voice said, Whoa, where's the fire, Spike? Spike turned to face Cheese Sandwich. No time, Cheese! I have to deliver this important message from the Queen! Really? What's it say? The dragon gave another heartfelt sigh. The princesses are to marry. What? Cheese jumped in surprise. I mean, how fantastic, he said in a sad tone, moving his hoof in a circle. Sure, fantastic. Well, see you around. Spike resumed his run. Cheese sat in despair. For the past few years, Princess Pinky always came to his shop to pick out party favours she needed. He couldn't say anything, but he grew to love her, and wished there was some way he could tell her. But now she was about to be married off. He didn't know what to do. Spike finally made it to the centre of the entire city, and announced the Queen's proclamation. Right away, a swarm of reporters took pictures and wrote down the Queen's request. It was likely the news would be spread all over Equestria by later that morning. The Queen sat in her spot at the dining table for lunch, and saw her daughters coming in one by one. Hello, Mother, greeted Fluttershy, wearing a long, simple green dress as she took a seat next to the Queen. Hello to you as well, my darling. Rarity walked in gracefully, wearing a stylish blue dress she had made, and said, Good afternoon, Mother. She sat next to Fluttershy. Good afternoon, my sweet. Rainbow Dash flew in, wearing a light red dress, and took her place, leaving an empty spot between her and Rarity. Greetings to you, my wayward daughter. Hey, Mum. Rainbow waved. Really, Rainbow Dash, is that any way to greet the Queen? Motioned Rarity. So what? This is our home. We can say anything we like. Rarity wearily shook her head. Celestia just smiled and continued greeting as Pinky bounced in, wearing a magenta gown. She sat next to her sister Rainbow, giving her a big hug and almost choking her. Salutations, daughter. Salutations to you too, Mum. So, Rainbow whispered to Rarity, I'm not the only one. The prim and proper unicorn rolled her eyes. Celestia saw the next daughter who walked in. Dearest Twilight. My dearest mother. Twilight, wearing a light lilac gown, bowed her head in respect before taking her seat after Pinky. The Queen smiled at her, and then looked at the empty spot. The other sisters did so as well. Now all we're missing is, I'm here, I'm here. Applejack rushed in, wearing a light brown dress, and took her place between Rarity and Rainbow. Sorry, Mother, but the laundry took longer than expected. Honestly, Applejack, you are a princess, shouted Rarity. You shouldn't have to get your hooves dirty like that. AJ scowled at her until their mother spoke. I think what Applejack is doing is a wonderful thing for the staff. She wants to prove she is capable of doing things on her own. Yeah, exactly that, Applejack pointed. Thank you, Mother. You're welcome. Now I have a couple of announcements to make, my darlings. Yes, they all said. First of all, Aunt Luna will be coming by the end of the week. Aunt Luna! They all excitedly declared. All right, we get to hang out with Auntie L, cheered Rainbow as she started taking a sip of her drink. Celestia giggled. Yes, it has been a while, but I'm going to need her help for when the suitors arrive. Rainbow spat out her liquid out of shock, and Pinkie did the same. However, she drank hers first after Dash's spit, and then she spit hers out too. All of the girls had stunned faces, and silence fell over the hall. What's wrong? The Queen asked, breaking the quiet. I thought you would be pleased. Finally, Rarity was the first one to get out of her shock and sputtered, Well, yes, it's just, we thought we would get to choose when to marry. Yes, Fluttershy whispered in agreement. I thought so too. AJ nodded, followed by Pinkie and Rainbow. Twilight? Celestia looked at her youngest daughter, seeing if her answer was the same. Twilight avoided her gaze and nervously said, I was sure we could choose. Girls. The Queen straightened her body to look taller and had a serious look on her face. You know I have to make sure you are taken care of. Each and every one of you is of royal birth. You must have suitable husbands of equal status. I cannot bear the thought of seeing any of you hurt, which is why you must take these suitors into consideration, even if you hold no interest to them. But, Mother! Rarity yelled, with near tears in her eyes. I am sorry, but that is how it is. It's not fair! Rainbow smashed her hoof to the table and pouted almost to the verge of crying. Very unfair, bawled Pinkie. Fluttershy was sniffling and looking down. AJ hung her head low too, but no tears came. Perhaps you need some time to think about this. They solemnly nodded, and quickly, one at a time, they left the room. Twilight was stopped by the call of her name, and turned back to face her mother with a sad look. Yes, Mother? I want you to reason with your sisters. But... She started, but was silenced by her mother's raised hoof. You need to have them understand that they would be doing the right thing. Why? You have to trust me. She lowered her head. Yes, Mother. She went back towards the door. Once she was gone, Celestia lowered her head in sadness. She hated to cause pain on her children, but she knew if she didn't, something terrible would happen to them. She looked over to a large portrait hanging on the wall, of a grey unicorn stallion, wearing a regal purple robe and having emerald eyes. What would you have done? She asked the painting. I love them, but at times I don't understand them. If only you were here. But you're not. She released a single tear. Sombra.